Please join me in welcoming Tarun Pandey, Executive Vice President, Aditya Birla Capital. Tarun, pleasure you could be with us. Thank you.
Thank you.
Milind Mungale, Executive Vice President and Chief Information Security Officer, NSDLE Governance Infrastructure Limited. Milind, pleasure you could join us today.
Thank you.
And Manish Gulati, Director Corporate Sales North, Dell Technologies. Manish, thank you. Delighted that you could be part of this. What promises well to be a very interesting discussion. But taking this conversation forward, Milind, I'm directly going to jump to you. The last 90 odd days have really tested to the highest degree organizational ability to drive resilience and business continuity. We've heard stories of how certain organizations have managed to do a bit, but have been seriously and significantly challenged in being to run operations smoothly. In your vast experience, how really do you think organizations should be crafting operating models and processes and workflows to ensure business continuity in its truest sense?
As far as organizations are concerned, all this while, if you have seen, the business continuity was looked at with a very, very limited angle. It was looked at with a very limited focus. Disaster recovery plan was business continuity in the past. Slowly, people matured to thinking that, no, we should have something more included in the business continuity.
Indeed.
So what they started doing was they started identifying a few people, and during the disaster recovery, those few people were asked to sit at home or go to some other office and operate from there, just to show in a very controlled manner that the organization is ready for any disaster. It was on March 20th or a few days before that the organizations were facing a disaster which was in a way not a disaster, because nothing has hit the organization. It was not that the offices were closed down. It was not that there was an earthquake. It was not that there was a fire. It was not that there was a bomb scare. Nothing of that kind. There was not a war situation. But organizations were forced to simply shut down and ask all their people to go home. So where it was a few earmarked people who were supposed to on a very particular day go and sit in some other place and operate from there to demonstrate that we can carry out organizational functions even if there is no place for us to go into the main office, that all was treated as a myth. It was something where you had to suddenly move from 50 people to 700, 800 people getting ready to operate within a week's time.
True that.
It challenged the organization's capacity, not only technically, but also from the mindset point of view.
Indeed, indeed.
On 20th of February, if any management would have said, or any management would have been asked, can we ask 100% of our staff to work from home, even for one day, they would have laughed at the person. They would have laughed at that person. It is not no, they would have laughed. They said, okay, you are humoring me. On 20th of March, every management was ready for this situation. Rather, they were forcing everyone to get ready. Unthinkable solutions were evolved.
True.
The companies which did not allow the employees to even get their devices inside the company premises happily allowed them to use their devices to connect to the company's network and operate.
Indeed.
The companies which were very tight on the schedule, they would clock the people's entry and exit, and any late mark was fined or converted into a leave. There are such companies still existing. Those companies did not mind if their employees started working at 11 o'clock and continued working till 11 in the night.
Milind, I'm just going to have you hold your thought there, because I'm going to take exactly this to Tarun. Tarun, if I may come to you. I think what this has taught us really is the very fact that while everything was said and done at the end, it is technology that came to the rescue. Now, using that as a baseline, what's your view on continuity and resilience building that organizations must look at?
Technology is the key. I think that sums it up. Technology is the key, because last 90 days, yeah, exactly nearly 90 days. Milind was talking 20th.
20th.
Yeah, on 20th June. So last 90 days have taught us that no matter what happens, no matter how much you criticize technology, no matter how much you cut the budgets, no matter how much you say that it is a support function, it was technology which delivered. It was technology which ensured that businesses still ran. It was
So
technology
true.
that ensured that people were able to work. Okay, maybe it took some time for some organizations. It was not, for some it happened overnight, for some it took some time, but these were unprecedented times. You had never foreseen it. Nobody had ever imagined it. And as Milind said, a month earlier, people would have laughed and shown you the door. But there was no choice. 23rd of March, there was no choice. You had to do it. So, as they say, when there is a need, or necessity is the mother of all evils and inventions, this was it. And technology came to the rescue. Yes, it forced people to rethink. It has forced people to rethink. Things like BCP, I will openly call it, it was a farce drill, because it was all planned everywhere. Okay, people used to know that, okay, the BCP drill is going to be done on this date. There were some key people who always knew, and it used to trickle down. This was BCP in real sense. Today, all the regulators should really look back at when they ask for a BCP drill. This is actual BCP.
So true. So
This
true.
is
And Tarun sir, just half a second, but Manish, if I could come to you, we've heard two very interesting points here. One is that continuity plans in the fashion that they were turned out to be, well, quite inadequate. Now you're on the other side of the table, fashioning, designing solutions that will, in the true sense, help organizations, large organizations such as Milind and Tarun are driving in navigating an uncertain yet aspirationally prosperous future. How do you kind of view the entire equation of technology coming into play to help them drive that?
Firstly, let me acknowledge what Tarun and Milind said, and absolutely right. We've been into multiple different, see the role that I played in my organization. I get a chance to speak to a lot of business leaders like Tarun and Milind. I hear these concerns, and as rightly pointed out by Milind, that this was not even a thought for businesses earlier. That if we could do that, and there were strategies put in place. How could we look at options where we could make people work from home? There's pros and cons debated, not too much of that implemented, but it remains as a strategy document.
Yeah.
Today, in the current scenario where all of us, let me call it by force, are into a situation that we had to enable the complete workforce as early as we could, starting 20th of March, tentative timeline that we started working from homes. At Dell, I had the privilege of working from home. A connected workplace solution was implemented for Dell a decade ago, or 10 years ago, and we've been in practice for that. We've actually been utilizing these services for a pretty long time. To quite a surprise to most of the organizations today, 65% of Dell people are already enabled to work remotely from anywhere across the world.
I know that for a fact, because I had a fairly detailed chat with Sheena Modi in one of our previous events, and she mentioned exactly this. But please do carry on, please, with your view.
So today there's a complete framework that is there as a enablement thing that most of the businesses might be looking at. I'm sure Tarun and Milind would know that already. Always it is a mix of the complete setup that an organization runs on. It's people, it's processes, it's technology, it's the complete ecosystem that will make it a successful transition into this facility that we need to launch for. We have already launched for a lot of our employees already, and global organizations and larger organizations are implementing it. We're working with a lot of other organizations to make it how quickly can we enable the workforces to start working and being more efficient and effective in their work processes that they work.